Hi, I'm Paul from the Studio Rats. In today's video, we're going to be looking at this, which is a Two-Rock Classic Reverb Signature. These amps are completely hand-built in California, and what I'd like to do in this video is to actually find out if these amps are actually worth the exorbitant price tag. This particular version is 100 watt and it's switchable down to 50 watts. These amps are known as a Fender Super Reverb on steroids. The things that these amps do really well are clean tones. But what I'd like to do in this video, because I haven't seen any YouTube videos out there that actually push these amps into sort of fairly high overdrive. So I want to see how clean we can get it and then how dirty we can get it. I've set it up how I like to set it up, and it sounds like this. First of all, let me explain some of the controls on this, and we'll go from left to right. So the first control is the FET Gain. Now, FET Gain, I guess you could say this has been taken from a Dumble style amplifier, which is really what Two-Rock have been known for. They've been known for sort of taking the Dumble sort of style of amp and then sort of taking it a little bit further. This amp comes with a foot switch, but I'm going to control everything from the front of the amp. So clean, the amp sounds like this. Now for bringing the FET Gain, the first thing that I noticed about this amp, it has a really nice sort of bloom to the notes. And it's incredibly dynamic, so just from your picking you can take it from really clean and then really drive it just by picking harder. Now, even though this is based on a Fender style of amplifier, it doesn't flub out like you get on a lot of Fenders. It actually stays quite articulate, even though it's driving the front of the amp quite hard. Next, we've got our EQ section. Now, obviously I'm using a Telecaster at the moment, but let me go and get a Les Paul and show you what happens when I switch up the bright switch. So that's with exactly the same setting as I was using with the Telecaster. So as you can see, it's lost a little bit of that clarity because the Les Paul is a much darker sounding guitar. But if I switch up the bright switch, so this is really useful at a gig where if you've got like a single coil guitar, you can have it with the bright switch down. But then if you want to switch over to like a Les Paul or a darker sounding guitar, you can switch that bright switch up and actually just keep your EQ section on the amp exactly the same. Now going back to the Telecaster. Next we've got the middle control and a middle switch. Now this adds a bit of a mid bump to it, so you get a bit more gain from it. And then next we've got this deep switch. Next we've got the switchable EQ. I'm not going to switch this because I found the setting on EQ2 that I like, and you'd have to really change the EQ settings if I switch it up to EQ1. But below that we've got the gain control. So again, even though this is like a Fender style amp, you're not getting that flubby low bottom end that you get from a lot of Fender amps when you drive them. Above the master volume control, you've got 3 different gain structures. So in the bottom position, it's like a Fender blackface. Sounds like this. The top position is a classic Two-Rock gain structure. And my favourite, which is in the middle position, is the Matt Schofield gain structure. Sounds like this. Next you've got the reverb send and return. Personally, I really like this when both controls are at 12 o'clock. But you can drive the front of the reverb just by turning up the send. And above the reverb send control, you've got an EQ bypass circuit. Now, that's going to add a ton more gain into the signal chain. Now, if I do that and also bring in the FET gain, now it's never going to go into that high gain metal sort of tone, but it's a great rock tone. Now last of all, you've got this contour control. Now you could sort of think of this like a cut control on something like an AC30. It's a little bit like that, but you can basically, by pushing it more to the left, you're bringing in more of the darker tones, and by pushing it more to the right, you're bringing in more of the brighter tones. So again, that's really useful. So if you're at a gig and you've got a real dark sounding room, you can push it more to the right. And if you're in a really bright sounding room, you can take it more to the left. just before I finish this video, let's see how far I can actually push this amp, because as I said earlier, I've never really seen any videos online where people are actually taking this really much past a slightly crunchy clean tone. So let's see how far we can actually push it. Now, one of the things that I've really noticed about this, even though I'm pushing this quite hard, is the amp is incredibly quiet for the amount of gain that you're pushing into it. So that's really, really impressive. So over the next couple of weeks, as well as the usual videos that I do, I'm going to be looking at some more high-end amplifiers. As basically what I'm trying to do is to find an amplifier that I'm going to keep for life. I'm trying to find my ultimate amplifier. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be looking at a matchless Impedance 35. So join me for that video. And if you got something out of these videos, don't forget to like and subscribe. Click on the bell button and you'll be notified of any future video that comes out from the Studio Rats. I'm Paul and I'll see you next time. Cheers.